What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Ballion, back with another episode of the Sports Pod, and in today's episode, I'm going to be previewing the Eastern Conference Finals between the New York Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Knicks back in the ECF for the second straight year and looking to advance to the NBA Finals for the first time since the 1999-2000 season. And the Cavs, they've had to play two 7-game series to get to this point, but the Game 7 they played in the second round was arguably their best performance of the season. The Knicks are super hot right now. The Cavs also seem to be hitting their stride, so it's going to be a great series. On the other side of the intro, I'm going to preview the entire series, break down the matchup, and give my prediction at the end of the episode. I'll get into all of it on the other side of the intro. Hit it.
DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Got the wall. He jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career.
All right, getting into the episode and starting with the absolute heater that the Knicks are on right now. There's no one hotter in basketball. After Game 3 against the Hawks, there was doubt in the mind of every single Knicks fan. They had just lost their last two games in semi-embarrassing fashion. Game 2 more so. It was that last-minute comeback by the Hawks in Madison Square Garden where the Knicks really had control of that game. It felt like it was kind of locked up, and then the Hawks came from out of nowhere and snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. And then in Game 3, the Knicks were on the ropes. They were kind of battling with the Hawks, but it was on the road, so you can live with a loss in that one. But since that moment, the Knicks have not lost. They've won 7 straight games, and in those 7 games, they are a plus 195. That is a number that is absolutely unheard of. It includes a 51-point win in Game 6 against the Hawks and a 40-point win in Game 4 against the Sixers. Everything is just coming so easy right now. I was thinking about it the other day, but in previous playoff runs, especially last year and the year before that, everything was a struggle. The Knicks really had to work for every basket, every defensive stop, every 7-0 run. Nothing was easy. This year, though, the ball isn't sticking to one person's hands. Everyone is getting their baskets. Deuce McBride with 8 threes in that closeout game in Philly. Jalen Brunson obviously doing his thing. Karl-Anthony Towns obviously doing his thing. OG Anunoby was shooting the heck out of the ball before he went down. The Knicks are just balling out from every single angle. And I don't know how I didn't mention Mikal Bridges, because not only was his defense on Tyrese Maxey stupendous in that Sixers series, but he got the offense rolling. After a regular season where there was so much doubt about whether he still had that offensive bag or whether the 5 first-round picks were a crazy overpay by the Knicks, he has come back in the playoffs and just dominated. Really, after that rocky start in the first 3 games against the Hawks, just as everyone has, but Mikal Bridges even more so than everyone else. He is playing so well right now, and the Knicks are going to need him to continue rolling as they head into this Eastern Conference Finals matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Listen, I like the week of rest off. It worries me a little bit because I think they're going to be semi-rusty coming out in Game 1 tonight, but you're at home. You're playing a Cleveland team that has played 14 games, the maximum amount of games they could have possibly played up to this point. You got to come out and punch them in the mouth early. Show that you don't have any rust. Show that you've been waiting for this game. I was listening to the Roommates pod a couple days ago, and Josh Hart is just itching to get back on the floor. He couldn't sit still. Jalen Brunson's always the same way. You know he's going to be ready to go. These guys, OG really needed the week off. It's so good. It's so important, imperative that the Knicks wrap that series up early so you get OG back at as close to full strength as he can possibly be at this point in the season. But for the other guys, everyone was really healthy. I know Deuce had an injury that he came back from in March. Karl-Anthony Towns probably has some sort of injury that he's banged up with. Jalen Brunson's ankle is always hurt. So there's probably some little dings and dents that the Knicks have. But there was nothing major besides OG that they really needed that 9-day stretch to rest from. So it worries me a little bit, but as the week has gone on, I've gotten more confident that the Knicks are going to come out like they haven't missed a stride. And this week has been the longest week I have ever experienced as a sport fan, let alone a Knicks fan. This week has just dragged on, and we're waiting for tip-off, and it's finally here tonight. I am so excited to watch these guys back on the floor. And getting into the matchup, the X's and O's of this series, the Knicks are just a matchup nightmare for Cleveland. There isn't really one matchup or two matchups that I'm really confident that Cleveland is going to win, like outright, just going to be better and dominate that matchup. Let's look at the Knicks from a defensive standpoint first. You've got OG Anunoby defending Donovan Mitchell. Now, this is one that I think can change, and Mike Brown has made all the right adjustments on both sides of the floor, so I trust that if he recognizes that OG isn't playing well or his injury is still having a nagging effect, he'll switch. But if Anunoby can't stay in front of Donovan Mitchell, laterally the hamstring just doesn't have it, I would switch Mikal Bridges onto Donovan Mitchell. I think that would work out. We've probably seen it at some point before in the season, whether it was opening night or the Christmas Day game, but I'm confident that one of OG or Mikal can absolutely lock down Donovan Mitchell. And say, worst case scenario, that OG isn't up to the challenge of defending Donovan Mitchell, I'm going to slide him onto Evan Mobley. I know you might be saying, but James Harden is there. OG feels too big to guard Harden, where you can get by with a Josh Hart guarding James Harden, where Harden just looks disconnected, like he doesn't want to be there, like he doesn't really care. He doesn't have the best playoff track record. And I was watching the Pistons-Cavs series, and I'm like, he just looks disinterested. I mean, it's a close game in the fourth quarter of what's kind of a must-win game, and you're just on the bench. Yeah, whatever. Okay, we'll run that play. There's no emotion. There's no intensity, and maybe he's just more of a stoic guy. But from an outsider's perspective, he just didn't look interested. But to start this series, I want Mikal Bridges locking down James Harden. It's just going to be absolute clamps. I'm not worried about James Harden whatsoever. You could throw OG on him. You could throw Mikal Bridges on him. You could throw Josh Hart on him. Off the bench, I think Deuce or Jose Alvarado would do a good job. If you want to give Landry Shamet some minutes, there's a lot of possibilities to lock down James Harden. He is a non-factor in my mind. I don't think he's going to have it. With that said, though, he is one of the best scorers this game has ever seen. So there's got to be a little bit of a thought in the back of your mind that, hey, the Knicks have all the right personnel to lock down James Harden, but he could pop off and go for 40 no matter who's guarding him. Next matchup, Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be defending Jarrett Allen. I mean, Allen isn't the most athletic guy. He's not going to drag Cat away from the rim too much. So it allows Karl-Anthony Towns to stay down low, be a rim protector that he can be with a 7-foot, 240-pound frame, and really lock down the paint. Be that guy that's the enforcer. Don't let anything slide. Cat has been playing really well, and I think a lot of it in the second round was that he has this ongoing rivalry with Joel Embiid that's been going on since his days back in Minnesota. But he's got to roll that over. He's got to parlay that into just an electric playoff run. And it continues with locking down Jarrett Allen. He's absolutely got the ability to do it. And this is overarching with Cat. He's got the ability to be a tremendous basketball player. He just doesn't put the effort in. He doesn't stay locked in on defense. He's fading away from the basket on offense. There's too many things that he just doesn't do well, even though he has all the talent in the world to do those little things and sometimes big things in a more professional and the right way to do it. So I think it could be a battle down low. I think Jarrett Allen could leave his mark on this series. But the problem with the Cavaliers is that they don't have a stretch five. They never have a big man that can really shoot the three. And I know Evan Mobley's gotten a little better at doing that. I'm going to pull up his stat line right here. If you're looking at 3-point percentage and Evan Mobley, he's still, sixth on the team. He's shooting it at a 36% clip. He's averaging 3.6 threes a game. I mean, if he makes one or two, whatever, the stretch big is really Cat in this series, where he's got the ability to knock down 5 or 6 of them a game, and he's not going to hesitate to throw up that 3 ball. But getting back to Cat's defense, I think he'll be successful against Jarrett Allen if he uses all 245 pounds of his body and actually plays defense and doesn't just sag off and let Allen do whatever he wants. And even if he does that, the Knicks are going to dominate the other guys. So, like, I would rather let Jarrett Allen beat me than Donovan Mitchell. If it comes to that and it's Cat's fault, then I'm going to be absolutely just frustrated. But if Cat does his job and Jarrett Allen's the guy that beats me, I'm all right with it. All right, moving on. Josh Hart on Evan Mobley. Now, this is the lone matchup that worries me a little bit, just because Mobley's, a 7-footer, and Josh is 6'4". However, Josh really plays above his height. I was watching Spurs Thunder last night, and the Thunder had Alex Caruso guarding Victor Wembanyama. Now, I'm not saying Josh Hart is Alex Caruso or Evan Mobley is Victor Wembanyama, but it's sort of a similar idea where you put a smaller guy on Mobley who's just going to attack him down low. He's going to be a pest. He's not going to let Mobley get to his spot on the block or in the corner or wherever he wants to go. Hart is just going to be a pest. He's going to get in the passing lane. If Mobley tries to put the ball on the floor, he's going to take it away. Josh, he's 6'4", but he plays more like a 6'5", 6'6" forward rather than that guard that he likes to call himself. And then the final matchup, Jalen Brunson on Max Strus. Now, this is just the weakest defender versus the weakest offender. And Max Strus has shown his ability to beat the Knicks. Back a couple years ago when he did it as a member of the Miami Heat, I just can't see that happening again. And worst comes to worst, if this is really the only matchup where I wouldn't really consider switching. But again, if Max Strus beats you, I can live with it. As long as the top guys don't beat you because your defenders, the guys that you're paying hundreds of millions of dollars to be defenders are doing their job, I'm good with it. Max Strus probably won't do too much, and Jalen Brunson's going to get his on the other side of the floor to make up for it. On the year, Max Strus is the second best three-point shooter for the Cavs, but if you're looking at points per game, he's not even, he's the fifth leading scorer, so he's at the bottom of that starting 5. I mean, I'm just not worried about him. And then if you're looking at it from an offensive perspective, who the Cavs are going to have matched up against the Knicks on the other side of the floor, I would think Jalen Brunson is either guarded by Max Strus or Evan Mobley. Listen, Strus is in the starting lineup to be a defender. He's in there not for his offense, but for his defense. The problem is he's probably too small to really lock down Jalen Brunson. If I'm looking at him right now, he's 6'5", 215. Jalen is all of about 6 feet. So Max Strus is going to have the height advantage on him. However, I just don't think he's going to be athletic enough. I think Jalen Brunson's going to pick him apart. And the only reason I say Evan Mobley could be in the conversation for guarding Jalen Brunson is because Brunson's kryptonite is that lengthy guy that is athletic and can stick with him on the outside. Now listen, I say the athletic guy as Brunson's kryptonite. I did not say that's what Evan Mobley is. I think if Kenny Atkinson switches Evan Mobley onto Jalen Brunson, it might be barbecue chicken. It might be Jalen Brunson just going to work, turning him around, twisting and turning in all sorts of directions and just attacking the rim, dumping off the Cat, kicking out to OG, or taking it himself. I don't think Evan Mobley will be able to stick with Brunson. But with that said, I don't think anyone will be able to stick with him. I think this is a series where Jalen Brunson has to go above and beyond even what he did in that Sixers series where he had Kelly Oubre harassing him, Tyrese Maxey at times, just these different guys that know Jalen Brunson so well because they played a playoff series against him a couple years ago. This is going to be different because with the Twin Towers down low, I think Cat could struggle a little bit. And getting to that a little bit, I think if they're going man, it'll be Jarrett Allen matched up with Karl Anthony Towns. But I would assume Evan Mobley's going to be in the area anyway. So Cat is going to have to struggle. He's really going to have to work. And this goes back to him putting his body on the line, being physical, getting to the cup, using the backboard. and he'll be fine. The way I think Cat can really make his mark offensively is if he gets the ball on the outside, maybe he puts up a three to start the game. All right, Jared Allen's got to play out on him more. Then Cat dribbles. He takes it to the basket on a dribble drive, which he can do very well. He doesn't do it often, but he is very good at doing it when he does it the right way. And that's the problem as always. He doesn't do it the right way. Moving on to the next matchup, it's going to be OG Anunoby versus Evan Mobley or Max Strus. Whoever's not guarding Jalen is going to guard OG. And honestly, if OG doesn't have a huge impact on the offensive side of the ball, but he kills it on defense, I'm okay with it. I need OG locking down. I mean, his shooting will come back down to earth. He was shooting somewhere around 60% in the playoffs before he went down. Anytime you go out with a hamstring injury or any injury for that matter in the playoffs, you're going to take a little bit of a hit, and that's that. But if he can do what he does best defensively, I'm okay with it. He still needs to put up a couple shots a game. He still needs to score around 10 points, but he doesn't have to do what he did in the previous rounds. Next, Mikal Bridges on Donovan Mitchell. Size advantage goes to Mikal. I expect the mid-range prowess to be in full effect. Those fadeaway middies. He can even open up the corner three. I honestly like when Mikal Bridges takes the transition corner three, when he steps into the shot, when he catches the ball in stride. It works well, and that's kind of his role in the transition. You know, these guys have their role on offense where OG and Mikal are the stoppers. They have their role, or on defense rather, where OG and Mikal are the stoppers. They have their roles on offense where it's Brunson and Cat in a two-man game, and they can just go to work. But then the third aspect of the game is transition offense, and it's almost like special teams in the NFL, where it's kind of forgotten about as this huge facet of the game where players really have to specialize in it. But if the Knicks are coming down the court on a fast break, Mikal is always ranging to the corner. OG, the same thing. Those are two guys that will go to the corner. Say it's Brunson or Hart bringing the ball up the court. They're going to look to attack and get by their defender and take it themselves. Whatever the big is, say it's a 3-on-3 fast break or even a two-man fast break, the ball handler is going to go to the cup and the wing is going to go outside the three-point line and look for a transition three. And that's, hate it or love it, that's where the game is going. I don't love it, but getting back to what I was saying, if Mikal can get those flowy transition threes going in addition to his mid-range game, even hit some threes in the half-court set, the Knicks are going to be set. Again, if OG doesn't have his offensive stuff, then Mikal Bridges is going to have to step up and continue to play the way he was in that previous series against the Sixers. But if OG's back on fire, it takes so much pressure off Mikal Bridges because he just doesn't have to do as much. And then getting to Josh Hart, who I would assume James Harden is going to be his defender. Listen, Josh Hart doesn't look to score enough, but if James Harden at 36 years of age is on Josh Hart, every time he catches the ball, he better be looking to the cup in an attempt to score, because James Harden cannot hold a candle to Josh Hart defensively. And even though Hart isn't the greatest scorer in the world, he will have a blast if James Harden is defending him. So I think the Knicks overall are just a matchup nightmare for Cleveland. I know I said that a couple of times. If you're looking at a straight 1-to-1 matchup on paper, the Knicks absolutely outclass the Cavs, and it's not close. However, the Cavs look strong in that Game 7. It's not going to be a cakewalk of a series like round 2 was. I would expect this to go at least 5 or 6 games. The thing that Cleveland doesn't have going for them is they've played 2 straight 7-game series. There is surely going to be some exhaustion where the Knicks are hopefully going to be fresh off of a bunch of rest and not rusty. The other aspect of it is, though, are they going to be exhausted, or are they just finding their rhythm and they're ready to go on a run? Are they going to get hot now that Game 7 against Detroit was such a strong performance and they can just ball out? So for my prediction for the 2026 NBA Eastern Conference Finals, it's Knicks in 6. It's going to be the rhyme. I feel like it always hits. It hit in the first round. It'll hit again here. The Cavs will steal 2 games. Donovan Mitchell is just too good of a player to not put his team on his back, but the Knicks are just going to be too much to handle, especially if they play anywhere near the way that they played in those last 3 games against the Hawks or the entire Sixers series. And listen, Game 6 of this series is a Friday night in New York. If the Knicks advance to their first Eastern Conference Finals since the year 2000, 7th Ave is going to be absolute bedlam. The city is going to be burned to the ground. I saw someone joking that this is going to be Zoran Mamdani's first true test as mayor of New York. It's going to be insanity. There will be so much going on, and if it's a close game, it'll be even crazier. I mean, if it's a blowout, it'll be one thing where everyone's like, what happened? How do we keep doing this? And close out games we've played so well. But if it's a close game and the Knicks win on like a fourth quarter comeback or just a fourth quarter game that they control, but it's always within reach, it's going to be absolute craziness. I think it's a huge series from Jalen Brunson. Nobody on the Cavs is going to be able to hang with him, and the Knicks win in 6. All right, that's going to do it for the episode. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing, commenting, following, sharing. I really appreciate all of it. If you want to leave me a voicemail to react to in the next episode, the number to do so is 848-305-8073. Again, that's 848-305-8073. And make sure you keep it locked with the Sports Pod.